Spinach is one such leafy vegetable that anybody can grow in their house, given that you get a little bit of sun and you provide the appropriate amount of water for the plant to grow. I will talk extensively about how to care for this plant, but if you are someone who has been growing a bunch of ornamental plants and you want to graduate to growing edibles, your own food at home, or if you have a child whom you want to teach how food is grown, I highly recommend this plant. In order to start spinach, I recommend start from seeds. You cannot actually grow them from cuttings, this is the only way you can grow them. However, to start these seeds, sometimes people use tissue paper method, but for spinach, I would say that stick to starting them in soil. Now here you would see that I have this seedling tray. Seedling tray is nothing but miniature pots or small cavities where you can start the seeds, and once they have reached this state that you see here, then you can move these plantlets or saplings as they are called to bigger pots. The reason we start them in these small cavities is just to know that what is the germination rate. So what we are going to do is take a few seeds, it depends on how many seeds you want to grow. If you stay, let's say, in a place with a balcony, the average size in Mumbai balcony I think is like 10 by 5 feet. In that space, you can grow about 5 to 10 spinach plants and you can keep rotating. Along this, of course, you can grow other kinds of plants as well. In balconies, I recommend growing spinach is my favorite, and tomatoes and some flowers. This is like an ideal small balcony if you are staying in an urban space in high rise. So I have here spinach seeds, and just for the demonstration, I am going to use this small teacup here. I have paper cup. If you notice, this is also a small cavity like this big seedling tray here. If you want to start with a bunch of plants, this is great. Otherwise, you can use anything which is like a small cavity. Here I have soil. You could just use coco peat as well or regular soil, and per cavity we will place 2 seeds. If both the seeds germinate, that's great. If they don't, at least we are expecting one of the seeds will germinate. I'm going to put this back. I'm using the stick to just put them inside about a centimeter deep. We will add water. And then we will place this in a space that gets about 1 to 2 hours of direct sun. In my terrace here, we have a lot of pigeons, so I have to also physically protect these saplings from pigeons. Otherwise, you can place it anywhere in your house depending on where the sun availability is there. Now, once the seeds will germinate, this is what you're going to get. So when they germinate, we will pull them out from the cavities like in here. See, generally the trick is that the day you decide you want to bring them out and move them to a bigger pot, do not water. The mistake I did, I had watered these and you would see that the soil split up. So it's just more convenient when the soil is together, and that happens when it's dried. Now we will move these to bigger containers. Like here I am using grow bags, and I am going to place 3 saplings per grow bag. If we have to standardize the size of the pot required for growing saplings of spinach, I would say that per seed or per plant you at least require about 8 to 9 inches of depth and about 5 to 7 inches of width. So with this aspect ratio you can increase, depending if you're putting this in the ground, then you could place the plants about 5 inch separate from each other. If you're using just simple plastic pots, then per medium pot you can have 1 plant or maximum 2 plants. Do not grow many plants in one small pot because they'll start competing and you will not get a good harvest of spinach. Here I have spinach which is ready and I'm going to harvest it. For growing spinach, you require 3 to 4 hours of direct sun falling on the plant. Early morning sun and evening sun is the best. To start the saplings, you do not require that much of sun, but once they reach this stage, then you would need an ample amount of sun for spinach to grow. As for temperature, it is a plant that requires subtropical, I would say, temperature between 20 degrees to 30 degrees. Anything more than that could be too hot good for the plant, and you would not have very good leaf growth. The leaves will remain small in size. Now for soil, you could use any kind of soil that is accessible to it. This plant does not require a lot of nutrition, which means you don't have to add a lot of fertilizer. When you're starting the plants, only then in soil you can have some compost, khad or manure. Additional to that, you don't have to add anything. As far as watering is concerned, I prefer to water all my edible plants once every day early morning, and that works for spinach, it works for tomatoes, it works for cucumber. I'm actually looking on the other side of the camera what all I'm growing here. So for most edible, this works for me, and the trick is that I touch the soil and see. If it is not sticking to my finger, I might have to add water twice a day. The major problem that I have faced with spinach is that if you directly put the seed in ground or in soil, it will germinate, but when you start watering the plant, you would see that the sapling does not grow, and that happens because the leaves are very delicate. So it is not such a direct thing. You have to realize that when the seeds germinate, the leaves are very delicate and you have to protect them. So in that case, either use a sprinkler or always start the seeds first in small containers, because conditions are easier to manipulate in small containers compared to a big container. This is primarily the main issue that I have seen people face. Secondly, sometimes you might get infestation insects or fungi in it. That generally happens when air circulation is not good. That means that what happens a lot of time, because we stay in small spaces, we place plants too close to each other. Don't do that. I hope this video inspires you to try this plant at home. It's very easy peasy, it is nothing very difficult. Only thing is, do this either in spring or autumn. Summers is not a great time to start spinach, it is essentially a winter plant. And if you are a beginner, start with few seeds, do like 5 seeds. I know when you buy a packet, you get about 50 seeds. You can preserve the seeds for longer. You can, if they're not in a foil packet, put them in a tissue paper in a dry, cool place, and you can use them in the next season. If the first time does not work out, it's okay, it will work out second time, because for me also there was a learning curve with spinach. It was much easier for me to grow zucchini, for example, which was unexpected, than spinach. But this time I think I nailed it. So just hold on to it, have patience, and it will work out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you check out our other videos too. I'll see you very soon.